All right, we're going to continue with our post-race media availabilities for the Geico 500. We are joined by members of the winning team, which was the number 2 Miller Lite Ford, driven by Brad Keselowski. We are joined by the crew chief, Paul Wolfe. Paul, this is the second victory of the year, your 5th top 10. Talk a little bit about that run out there today.
Yeah, it was seemed like a bit of survival at points. But I think the key today for us was, first off, having a pretty fast Miller Lite Ford and qualifying well and getting a good pit stall. And from there, it was about keeping the track position. And, we kept the track position. We were able to stay out of the wrecks, as there was a lot of good cars that got caught up in that. And as I talked to Brad there in the closing laps, it was like there was a lot of cars in the top 10 that we hadn't seen all day just because so many good cars had gotten caught up in the wreck. So from there, it was a lot of it came down to the spotter and the driver and their communication of getting the lead and then managing the lead. And I think they did a great job today at that and found ourselves in victory lane.
Great. And we're also joined by Team Penske Executive Vice President Bud Denker. Bud, in addition to those facts from this year, this is Brad's 4th victory and 9th top 10 finish in 15 races here at Talladega. So can you talk a little bit about that and what it means to Team Penske?
Well, he had a great car today, first of all. We had some great Ford power, Ford performance power today. I would tell you, I stand up on the top of the grandstands and watch the race, and anytime we were by a Toyota or side-by-side by a Chevy, we had strong power today, Paul. You saw it today. In fact, I think our car was better today than we had in Daytona. I think the fact that Brad could stay out in front and manage low, high like we was doing, and Joey Meyer, the spotter, did just a terrific job today. I mean, he's one of the MVPs of our team today, and Paul executed great pit stops, great calls on pit lane in terms of 2 tires or just gas as well. And timing is everything, because we also have the CEO and his wife from Miller Coors, Gavin Hattersley, and Terry here today, brought down from Chicago. So timing is great, isn't it?
Awesome. All right, we're going to open up to questions for Paul and Bud. If you have a question, please raise your hand. We'll get a microphone to you and state your name and affiliation when we get it to you. Up here to Bob.
Bob Pockris, ESPN. Paul, you talk about being a race of survival. Just kind of, I guess, how thankful are you that the cars, that you guys weren't involved in anything? And do you have any theories on, we saw 2 cars get upside down today. Anything that can be done about that?
Well, yeah, like I said, it did seem like somewhat of a survival race, as we saw a lot of what I would consider some of the top cars or faster cars get caught up in wrecks, and it just seems like everyone is very aggressive. I think there's opportunity for a lot of cars to win races, and the key to that for us today was just keeping the track position, like I said, and that comes from I think a little bit of it can start in qualifying with pit selection and having a good day on pit road. I think I saw the 11 car get knocked around on pit road a couple times as an example of how pit road can go the other way. So we had a good pit stall. The guys did a great job on the pit stops, and we were able to continue to hold that track position when we had to pit. And with tire wear not being big here, the fuel kind of dictates whether we're going to do 2 tires, 4 tires, or, as we saw a lot of cars at the end, do fuel only, to show how important that track position was. So like I said, keeping the track position was huge, and I don't think we ever fell out of the top 10 at all today, and I think that's probably the first time we've done that here at Daytona, and I think that was key to getting the win. Obviously, NASCAR works very hard at that, and I don't think that's anything new. That's been going on for a long time, and we continue to, work on the roof flaps and things like that. But gosh, I'm not saying there isn't ways to do better than what we have. I'm sure there is, and NASCAR does a great job of continuing to look into ways to do that. But kind of at the speeds we're running, sometimes it seems like there's not a whole lot you can do once you get sideways at that kind of speed.
I'll go back to Stan.
Hi, Stan Creekmore with RPMTonight.com. I can't see you guys, but the crew chief there. What does this win mean to this team, given some of the struggles you've had this year?
I think it's big. Obviously we got our win early at Vegas. Felt like we had a great car there. And after Vegas, it seemed like we weren't exactly where we want to be on the intermediate style tracks. We had a great car at Martinsville, felt like we could contend for a win there. But I think as a whole, if you look at the tracks we've run so far, we know we need to be better on the mile-and-a-half style racetracks. And, so getting the win here obviously doesn't mean a whole lot as we go to Kansas, other than that just, it's kind of a shot in the arm and a little momentum. And a lot of times in this sport, that's worth something. So even though it'll be totally different style race cars, heading into Kansas with a win this week will be huge, and hopefully we can keep that momentum going.
Do we have any additional questions for Paul or Bud? All right. Well, gentlemen, thank you for coming in this
Thank
afternoon,
you.
and congratulations on the win.
Very good.
Thanks.
Thank you very much. Is it rain out here?
It's coming down.
All right, we are now being joined by the race winner of today's Geico 500, Brad Keselowski, the driver of the number 2 Miller Lite Ford. Brad, we read off some statistics earlier when Paul and Bud were up here. Your second victory and 5th top 10 finish just this year. Also here at Talladega, this is your 4th victory and 9th top 10 finish in 15 races. So talk a little bit about that and talk a little bit about that finish there.
Yeah, well, what can you say? Talladega's been good to me, and it's great to be back on this podium as a race winner. I'm very, very proud and thrilled for a day today. You never know what you're going to get here. Talladega's always been that way, but it's been very good to me, and I'm, like I said, thankful for that. Crazy day. Somehow we managed to stay ahead of or out of all the chaos. A couple of people have asked me about it. I didn't see it, thankfully, because I was in front of it. But that's how Talladega goes. Sometimes we run here and everybody kind of lines up against the wall, and sometimes we come here and it's crazy side by side, wreck them up, flip them. And I think that's part of the allure to coming here, is that you don't know what you're going to get. And as a racer and a driver, you got to be prepared for either way and take advantage of the situation. We were able to do that today with really just an all-around solid day. There wasn't anything flashy about today for us. We had good speed. Our execution was really strong on pit road. And of course, we caught just a couple of breaks there with getting the right pushes at the right time when we were side by side for the lead. And all that added up to the victory that we got today.
All right, we're going to take some questions for a race winner. We'll start over here with Jenna.
Jenna Fryer, AP. So two-part question. 35 of 40 cars were in an accident today of some kind. One, how did you not get into an accident? And two, do you like that kind of racing?
I like racing. As far as not being in any of those accidents, we ran up front, and none of the accidents today were at the front. That's your highest percentage shot, is if you can run it front. It sounds really easy. It's not. Otherwise, everybody would do it. And we were fortunate to be second, third, or better in every one of those accidents. So, I hated to hear about cars flipping and doing all those things, and nobody wants that. But I think, some accidents here and there, we might not like to cheer about it, but it is part of the sport, and it always has been part of automobile racing.
We're going to go to Dustin and then George and Bob.
Middle. Dustin Long, NBC Sports. Brad, with the topic of cars getting upside down, just this type of racing and what it can lead to, was this a topic that you guys discussed in your drivers' council meeting on Friday, or is this a subject that could be presented? How would you guys look at presenting this issue moving forward, especially with Daytona now 2 months away and the 1-year anniversary of Austin getting into the fence there?
Yeah, well, I haven't seen a replay of the accidents, in fairness, to be able to, maybe have at least a preliminary thought on what could have caused it. But, of course, it's not what we want to see. When cars get off the ground, bad things happen even more so, and we kind of get beyond that acceptable risk factor. So it's something that we'll have to all look into and see what we can do better. But it's so early. Like I said, I haven't seen them to know what happened. If they were more of a wedge style flip where a car picks another car up, or an arrow flip, I don't know. But my gut says the wedge style flips are just part of it, and the arrow ones are ones that we can continue to science out and try to eliminate or reduce the risk of. Yeah. Yes, sir.
Go up here to George.
Over here, Brad. George DeHizer on the other side. I was going to ask about the safety thing, but let's go back to the race. You picked the outside. Just discuss the strategy and what you thought you had going the last few laps for you.
Yeah, I mean, the strategy was pretty simple. The outside lane had won the battle on the last 3 or 4 restarts to get to the lead and kind of clear up front, and that's so pivotal here. Unfortunately, it didn't work for us on that next to last, or the last restart, and we fell back to second or third. The key part, kind of like I was talking earlier, was we got to push from the one car, which helped me get a run to get up next to the 41 of Kurt Busch. And we were kind of stalemate next to each other, pulling side drafts back and forth, until eventually the 18 car came with a huge run, gave me the push that we were looking for to clear and get up to the lead and kind of take ownership of that position. So all those things kind of came together for us, but we put ourselves in position all day by running up front.
We're going to come back up front here to Bob and then Tucker and Jay.
Bob Hockress, ESPN. I'm here.
Hey, Bob, how are you?
I'm good.
Were you up at 5 a.m. this morning?
Yeah.
Okay. In the garage at 5:45?
Well, the garage wasn't open at 5:45. You try and get me in trouble.
Those darn rules.
Throughout the race, you're leading and you're blocking and trying to get drafts. And first off, why did it seem like you were being so aggressive just to stay in the lead throughout? And were any of those times did you make a move and think, I got lucky and wasn't collected?
No, all the moves seemed to come together pretty well. We had good enough speed where we could make those moves, and I think that's part of this rules package. You know, when we got rid of the tandem package, the only way we were able to do that was to create kind of what the drivers all call the beach ball package, where when the cars get close to each other, they kind of squeeze a pocket of air and push each other away. So that makes it to where blocking is, extremely successful because you can pull down in front of someone and kind of hit that pocket of air and they beach ball push you away, for lack of a better term. But that's part of the racing. It's what works here, and it's our responsibility as drivers to figure that out. And today was a day where my spotter and I worked together very well, and we were able to do just that.
Going back to Tucker.
TuckerWhiteSpeedwayMedia.com. Brad, when you take a look at today or any other time of a plague race, is there any ever a time you just think, good God, we really are insane just for doing this?
Yeah. Racing has always been that, balance of daredevils and chess players. And some weekends we're chess players, some weekends we're daredevils. And this has always been more of the daredevil style of track. Which probably offsets some of the tracks that we go to that we're maybe kind of the lame chess player. I think it takes a balance of that, and that's what makes the NASCAR season so much fun and so unique. In other sports, the sports we all think about, football, hockey, baseball, basketball, the field stays the same, or the court, or whatever you want to call it, every week. And part of what makes racing so difficult and such an interesting dynamic is you compete against all the same people every week, and the thing that really mixes it up is the tracks are different every week. It's a different field, it's a different court, and this one is one where it's in your face challenging, to where that if you make a mistake, it's going to be a really, really big wreck. You could go airborne, and a lot of bad things could happen, and that is part of the challenge. Overcoming that thought in the back of your head is difficult for people to do, but it's part of what makes it special, is the fact that that can happen, and despite it, you're going to make a move inches from another driver, you're going to cut them off, you're going to push them, you're going to drive sideways, and you're going to hang it all out there knowing really bad things can happen. I think it's special to be able to win under those circumstances, under that level of adversity, and it's a challenge I've always embraced.
We're going to Jay, and we'll go up to the press box for one.
Jay Busby, Yahoo Sports. Brad,
what's up, Jay? It's been a while.
It has been a while. It's good to see you again. Looking forward about safety. After the race, Danica said that she thinks that the wall may be a little too far from the backstretch, from the track in the backstretch.
Okay.
Austin said that he would be in favor of anything that would help the cars keep from flipping. What specifically could you see at Talladega that could help perhaps prevent some of what we saw today?
I haven't thought of an answer to that, and I didn't see the accident. So, I wish I had a better answer for you, Jade. It's a question that deserves a great answer, and unfortunately, I don't have it. And I don't know if really anyone in our sport has the answer, but I would agree to some extent that with Danica that the closer the walls are, it seems like the better the angles that we hit at. But then it's nice sometimes to be able to save a car because you had space. So those things can go either way. But of course, I couldn't agree anymore with Austin, and I think that was the point I was trying to make earlier, that we don't want cars to go in there. There's never a guarantee of where they're going to land, and we don't want them to land in a fan's lap.
We're going to go upstairs to the press box for a question, and then to Jordan and Jim.
It's a fair question, Jay. Sorry I don't have an answer.
Lee
I got answers for a few things, just not that one.
Lee Spencer, Motorsport.com. Congratulations, Brad. You talked in your post-race comments about making changes to the team. Can you chronicle those for us and kind of go into detail? And you've seemed to kind of been under the radar a little bit this season as far as being a little less demonstrative maybe in public. And
demonstrative. That's a...
Can you...
Yeah.
Can you
pull that one up, Nate? I think the word monster's in there, so it's kind of self-explanatory, but go ahead.
Can you detail the changes and talk about your change in attitude?
Yeah, well, I mean, a lot of things have kind of shook up. Team Penske, of course, the Wood Brothers relationship is one that we're proud of, but also it required some movement. Over the last 16 months, Team Penske has brought on another IndyCar team as well, so that shook some things up, along with some of the interest in Australia and so forth. Seen some key personnel changes across the board, and I would kind of feel ridiculous if I went through every one of them. And some pit crew changes as well. So there's been a lot of them. I carry this picture on my wall in one of our facilities that I hung up that has everybody on my team from when I won the championship in 2012, and that was 4 years ago. And, of that picture, we're down to maybe 25-30% of those people still on the team. And that's been a big change over the last few years. And, of course, we want to go out and keep winning in spite of that. But I think that's maybe the easiest way to showcase it.
We're going to go to Jordan, and then we'll wrap up with Jim.
Jordan Bianchi, SBNation.com. Brad, you talked about how this is kind of typical Talladega, and what we saw today is basically what we see every time here. But at what point?
Well, not every time.
Well, I mean, a lot of the time, majority of the time. At what point does it get to a point, though, where, things maybe need to change? We saw a lot of cars get airborne. We saw some very violent wrecks, multi-car wrecks. At some point, does this restrictor plate stuff just say, this is enough, and we need to maybe do some evaluation?
Hey, I'm a capitalist. I love capitalism. There's people still paying to sit in the stands, and there's sponsors still on the cars, drivers still willing to get in them. It kind of sounds like it's self-policing, and there's enough interest to keep going, so we'll keep going.
All right, we're going to wrap up with Jim.
Jim Utter, Motorsport.com. I'm sure you've been asked this in the past, and especially here when you've won, but listening to you and Joey Meyer work in this race today, I listened a lot, and it seems that he gives you a tremendous amount of information. When you consider all that goes on in this race, how difficult it is to monitor what's going on, but also take in everything that he says? Because you guys seem to share a lot more than a lot of other drivers do in these type of races.
Yeah, I mean, my spotter is definitely an all-star for sure, and we did as good a job as we've ever done working together today. I'm really proud of that effort. Timing the runs here is so critical, and his communication, his way of kind of verbalizing what he sees is the key for me to be able to make the right moves on the racetrack. And I know that might be hard to explain, and because obviously I'm still holding the steering wheel, but the information turns itself into the old knowledge is power equation. And, of course, you can have all the knowledge in the world. If you don't do anything with it, it doesn't matter. So it's a good 1-2 punch, and I'm really proud of him for his efforts today. And we'll keep rolling on. It's a good way to go. He's been part of 3 of the 4 Talladega wins, and I don't think that's a coincidence.
And we actually have one final question up here from Nate.
Thanks, Jim.
Nate Ryan, NBC Sports.
Demonstrative? Did you look it up?
No thesaurus words in this question.
Okay.
I promise. Actually, because we've spent the entire time talking about Talladega, I thought we'd maybe direct it toward you at Talladega. I think it tends to get lost. I mean, this is your 4th victory here, and it seems like every one of them has like some indelible moment of you being able to do superhuman things, whether it was 09 or 12 with Kyle Busch or 14 with, Matt Kenseth. And today,
I like the weird races here.
Yeah, well, I mean, like they're weird, but you always seem to come out on top despite the odds. And today, you're the top finishing Ford, and the next Ford is 9th. I mean, how are you able to? I guess does it matter to you? I mean, when we talk about restrictor plate races, I don't know if you always get your due or get your credit. I don't know if your name is always at the top of that list, but maybe it should be based on your record here. And does that matter to you? And
Yeah. Look, I'd rather be the guy that nobody talks about who's won here 10 times than the guy everybody talks about who's won here twice. I never got into racing just to have somebody say my name real loud or for the billboards or the lights or any of that kind of stuff. I got into it because I love it. I love the challenge. I love the reward of success, the reward internally. And so, look, I'm not out here trying to toot my own horn or showcase our own press clippings. I just want to win, and winning 4 times to me means a lot here. It doesn't mean as much as winning a second championship would mean. And that's my main goal at the end of the day. But I found in this sport, the more races you win, the easier it is to win championships. And Talladega has been a track for us that's been a great catalyst for success. And I don't know why that is. It's a track where if you're capable of winning here, I think you show a certain level of attitude and swagger that carries your way through the rest of the year, or it's just there in general. So I like that, but hey, if nobody wants to talk about it, that's fine too. I'm okay with that. I'd rather just keep winning and being up front.
Great. Well, Brad, thanks for coming in and joining us this afternoon, and congratulations on your 2nd win of the season.
Appreciate it. Thanks, guys.